And welcome back, everybody, for the last game of the EPS Spring League of Legends Championships presented by the Gaming Stadium. Osborne 1 and McNally are currently tied at 1-1 apiece, and it's been back and forth. Osborne looking extremely dominant in game one. McNally clapping back with, honestly, a fairly big stomp in the second game. So this third game is up in the air and can go either way. So we'll be getting into draft here as soon as possible. We had some insight on the last thing, but what do you want to see these teams do, Minion?
Well, I mean, so far the game's just revolved almost solely around the top lane so far, and I kind of want to see the other lane step up a little bit. Ripper's been doing a good job in the mid lane, but where's the bot lane? The Vayne pick hasn't really been doing much. We've seen what, a Jinx and a Samira come up ice barriers, and while there's been some exciting moments, it's just not been that impactful.
Yeah, exactly. So just like lack of overall, I think just like more utility-based picks, because like in the form of the Vladimir and the Vayne, you just lack CC and you just get raw damage instead. Well, McNally has been having like the Nico, which not only does a ton of damage, you're getting a massive amount of CC, and then the bot lane, the Samira even honestly has a little bit more utility, just like that one knockup she has when compared to like something like the Vayne, because Condemn is an incredibly good stun, but it's so situational that you can't just rely on it.
Okay, and we do see the bans coming in. McNally, still the same old three bans, but Osborne really switching it up. Camille, Nico, Vladimir. Osborne's been the one playing the Vladimir so far. So interesting that they banned it, and they get the Hecarim this time.
I'm curious what the priority on the top lane picks are going to be. Is like one of them going to pick very early in order to get a strong champion, or are they going to wait till the end to maybe choke out the pool a bit and maybe get a counter pick? Okay, McNally's Kayn is actually very, very good. This is something they played in other matches, which actually kind of gave me their 1-3-1 style, because you've seen how good their jungler is at just escaping situations. He's like the Houdini, and Kayn really benefits that. But also he's really good at putting pressure around the map and just getting his lanes ahead. And I think playing the Kayn is a good thing. We do have the Kai'Sa because it wasn't banned here, and a good top tier 80 carry pickup for McNally on the bottom side here. And the Xayah picked, classic bot lane.
Yeah, and we've seen Osborne so far and throughout this entire series, up to this game, throw triple ADC bans to start things off. So it's always been Kai'Sa, Xayah, and Caitlyn taken off the table. And now we're getting a bit of, I want to say, normalcy coming back into the game here. I feel like for what we've seen most of this tournament, the Hecarim, the Kai'Sa priority, very, very high. Because Vlad is banned, because Cassian is banned, it looks like for Super Mario, it's back to the old faithful Swain.
Honestly, as much as the Swain might, as you said, like, is the best at times, I think the Swain does offer them a lot of area denial in the ult, particularly when you combo it with the Zanyas. So it does kind of deny McNally an ability to get to some of the more important carries on the team, but also just gives them CC. Though the Vlad is like a lot more damage, a lot more late game scaling. Just simply the Swain, he can just turn so many fights. The W gives you a lot of vision. And I think it's interesting to see the Rise too. So McNally actually did play a very similar comp to this, I think, in one of the previous matches. The synergy actually between the Kayn and the Rise, it was just wonderful to watch. They would just roam around, get lane pressure and stuff like that. And I think the mid laner they were playing against was something like an Anivia or something like that. So they were very immobile, and they punished the fact that they're... No, sorry, it was actually a Silas. So it was actually equal roams. But they actually just completely out-roamed the other team and were able to just kind of snowball that jungle mid advantage and then conform it into a win.
And that was kind of how McNally won their second game early, right? Like they started roaming, and it was Ripper roaming. So I feel like giving that Realm Warp even more mobility, map-wide mobility, really solid. Lulu, Leona ban. So it's McNally's turn now to be sort of, well, actually it's their turn, but they did target the support last time already. This time it's just Leona instead of the Karma. No Vayne this time though, so I don't know if the Lulu is necessarily quite as impactful. And instead Osborne starting to respect the top lane a little bit here. That buy diff not feeling quite as strong after last game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And it looks like, yeah, we are waiting out. So actually the top lane champion pool, not really pinched on either side. Just the Darius and the Camille bans come up, and I guess the Cho'Gath as well. But not a lot of, like, I say, there's a lot of brawlers. Like there's a set, and there's just a ton of other options coming out. And the Thresh is very, very good to help keep their Kai'Sa consistent and safe. So I'm curious to see, yeah, because it's going to be that looks like the counter pick top from McNally. So Osborne's going to be forcing going a pick here, and I think it's just going to be a counter pick, as simple as it is.
Pretty much, I mean, support top here. I'm curious to see what Osborne has left. I mean, honestly, I thought the set was a pretty good pickup in terms of just top lane blinding. There's not a ton of counters support-wise. They're the ones going at the Galio this time, so they'll have some ability to match the Rise, but a support Galio, or actually, Could it be support Swain? It's a
It's
possibility, but
possible to support
unlikely.
Swain. I think they have played that in the past, and it could be the kind of more consistent Galio mid. And yeah, the set locked in top here, good comfort pick. You guys seen it played to very good effect in one of our previous games. But I think the Galio it kind of sucks, and like, not sucks, but it's kind of suffering a bit into the Thresh, because if the Thresh is on top, he can just flay you out of your taunt if he does hold that, and just cancel it early, and you just don't get a whole lot out of it.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't think that the Galio into Thresh is necessarily ideal here. And I do think it's better mid for the same reasons I didn't like the Galio support that much last game. The fact that from the bot lane, you can only really reinforce the mid lane.
This is almost a mirror of the comp they played. Oh, I can't remember actually which match this was, but McNally played this till a key. They were really good at like roaming around the map, getting their advantages, but his gangplank is actually very, very good, and I'm very excited for this top lane matchup.
Now, I'm a little bit scared for Gangplank here. If Set ever gets on top of you, you're in for a world of hurt. You can't really cleanse the grab. Pardon me. So the Gangplank will have problems there. The good part for Gangplank is you do have a bit of range here with the barrels, with the pistol as well. You can technically farm from relative safety. You've got a bit more space. You don't have to necessarily walk into the mid wave, but it will be rough. And I do expect to see a lack of pressure early on here from It's About Time, which can prove fatal considering that both these teams have really snowballed from the early game.
So I think it's going to be down to just roaming and stuff like that. And it's also going to be interesting how quickly can Kane stack passive here. So they do have a little bit more of a melee champs on the side of Osborne, so you can gank the solo lanes in the form of Set or Galio if you do want to go into the Darken form. And really your only options are I'm assuming the Galio's mid and Swain's support. It might be reversed. But if that is the case, then the only place you can really get into that range assassin one is if you want. Super Mario pick the Swain. Okay, we have it confirmed. I'm pretty sure it's a Swain mid lane Galio support. So it does actually switch it up a bit. Now you have some options of which form you want to go into. You can either gank top for it, or if you want the ranged, the assassin form, you can go mid or maybe even bottom lane as well if you want to try and get a little bit of both.
Yeah, so, okay, reevaluate a little bit. The Swain into Rise here. I actually don't really like the matchup for Swain, unfortunately, because it's a little bit rough here. If you miss a never move, Rise can punish you so hard. Swain is not particularly long range. The Qs are fairly short, so you have to step into trade range. The bot side as well, we've spoken about it, the Galio into Thresh. Galio feels somewhat limited. You try and Justice Punch in, you just get flayed right back out. If the death sentence lands, you can get burst down, and the range on that death sentence severely outranges the taunt as well. So I just feel like McNally have better lanes mid and bot, but are losing lane top. And then the question is, where is Micro going with this Kane? Micro did quite a bit with the Hecarim in game 2 compared to that game 1 Nunu, which didn't have an impact. Game 3 now on a Kane, a brand new jungler into this particular series here. If Micro doesn't gank, if he decides to just go and farm into the jungle, we've seen Mohamed just take over a game with Hecarim. So we need to see Micro match pressure.
Yeah, Micro last time he played in this particular, actually a very similar comp to this, when he played Kane, he went into the Darken form and was kind of like their pseudo front line, just healing and distracting. And like that at that point, the Rise and the Kai'Sa were quite strong. Actually, I think it was Kai'Sa, that is similar AD carry, were quite strong at that point. So they were just able to melt stuff while the Thresh and the Kane kind of just bought them time. And then Gangplank was usually off pushing another lane, occasionally dropping an ult on the fight. But the times when the Gangplank was, the amount of damage just came out. It was just absolutely insane.
And for the side here of Osborne, this composition is something that we've seen similar things before, granted usually with a Vayne rather than the Xayah, but if anything, I actually think the Xayah should work better here. You've got Swain, you've got Galio, basically. You just got a really tanky front line. Xayah just fires from behind, Set as well in the front. So Xayah will have the safety of a very strong front line, but Xayah then has the pressure of trying to carry a game. In game 1, it didn't come down to any of that. It was just Bai taking over a set. So that is a possible win con as well, but I doubt we're going to see Bai get quite as fed, quite as ahead. So low class has to step up this time. I said it even before they started draft that the bot lanes have not had impact. They do this game.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It is interesting to see Osborne going into this more of a kind of CC, more team fight based comp, because we have seen their team fighting is actually pretty good when they've been almost limited on the CC options they have had, just with honestly their sheerly mechanical skills that you do see coming out of these players. So I think it's going to be interesting to see when it does get into like kind of team fight-ish phase, but I think McNally is going to be more trying to play around the counter engage and stuff like that, because they don't have the most engage, because you really do want to be saving Thresh, like Hook and even Flay and stuff like that for disengage. more than anything. So I think McNally's going to be trying like bringing the fights to them or stuff like that, focusing on picks on lanes because they have a ton of single target CC. In some of these champions, obviously not really top lane outside of the maybe a gank coming in, but they're not going to really want to force those team fights unless they're significantly far ahead. But at the point, if they do manage to snowball to control, they can actually snowball fights very effectively because they're re-engaged, and even just disengage is very, very strong.
Yeah, and just the barrel poke too is what I'm looking at here right now in terms of this, right? Like if it's about me, it's about time, pardon me. It's not about winning the lane, right? It's about skilling up. That's how a gangplank works. You don't pick a gangplank to usually win the lane. You pick it to scale. The barrels, if you ever hit a single barrel mid to late game on low class is pretty much out of the fight there. And even for Swain is not tanky because of health, because of resistances. Swain is tanky because of stealing health in the middle of a fight. So if you poke out the Swain and Super Mario is just not anywhere near anybody he can sort of life steal off of there or just suck health out of, then you can just pop that Swain right off the bat. And that's their damage threat. If you remove Super Mario, you remove low class, Muhammad, Fake Susie, and Bai just simply do not have enough damage to carry a fight.
Yeah, and I think it's a big thing too with the Swain, particularly before the Zhonya's power spike. You are, as you said, be able to poke them out much easier. But once you do have the Zhonyas, you can go in as a Swain, pop your ult, and kind of just buy some time and make some space for your team, because you literally become just basically a giant like no-go zone if they don't want to take a ton of damage when you are popped in your ult and have the Zhonyas on. But with the disengage on McNally, they might just be able to like walk away and say, oh, okay, I'm gonna go over there now. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see how these fights go on, because Osborne 2 though does have a ton of engage. You have Hecarim engage with the ult into Galio slamming down. Set can pull someone in the team. There's a lot of volatility that they can play around because each champion on their team is strong. And McNally kind of does have kind of a more specific win condition they do need to play towards.
So whenever you've got these sort of things where one team wants to go and the other one just want to kite back, it comes down to mechanics. And while it does feel like every game's been about mechanics so far, specifically the top side mechanics, this will be a lot, I feel like, about how the mid laners and the ADCs in particular perform. Ripper with that Realm Warp is going to have a lot of say on how they want to engage, disengage. And hearing your description of how McNally has played this comp in the past, I am super excited, looking forward to seeing how it works out this time.
All right, and I hope you all are ready for our final game of the tournament. And a little intro on the teams. And down on blue side, we have Osborne 1, the masters of solo queue, here to establish Lane Kingdom and punish your mistakes with divine intervention and snowball the game out of any control you have. And on the red side is McNally, the cohesive unit driven out of the top lane, guided by the mid lane, here to gank your lanes, steal your objectives, and send you packing home to your mama.
That is an awesome way of introducing us here, John. Level 1, we are getting potentially an invade. Muhammad's in there fairly aggressively, and I don't think they are
doing it
necessarily.
I don't think they are, but you know, I have this hope. Actually, that's a really good ward to establish, particularly just so you can see where the early game ganks and stuff like that are going down. Because I said the mid lane and the bot lanes are actually pretty volatile in these matchups, just simply the amount of CC, the engage and stuff like that. And if you get one of those kind of core units rolling, it's very easy for you to get the goon squad together, if you will, of the jungler, mid lane, and the bot lane to just roam around the map, take objectives, and just issue different things. Because actually, we've seen it at Ainley, both the Ainley teams, they very effectively were good at just moving their AD carries and stuff like that to the mid lane, and then rotating their mid laner down to the bottom lane with teleport when stuff like the Rick Herald and stuff came up, and just they had it. And both, you can see both these teams do know how to utilize and work around that. So maybe we might see a little bit of that gameplay too, particularly out of McNally, who doesn't really want to take like kind of a one-on-one fight or maybe a team fight.
I love the fact that Bai is still sitting in this bush. Did get spotted up by him about time earlier, so they knew, they suspected Bai was there. Will take the safe way around, so time going to get back to lane without any more sort of damage or poke or kerfuffle. And I know, John, that this is becoming a pet peeve of yours in this series, but Super Mario, once again, no TP. So TP advantage for McNally on top of the Realm Warp they already have for additional team mobility.
Well, and particularly with McNally having like a gangplank ult and really easy, like the Realm Warp, and even Kane, just how quickly he can move around the map. The amount of global pressure they just get by simply running the 2 TBs and based on their champions, they can react to almost any play. But when you have like the Swain with Ignite, so Swain for one is like really slow. So you're not going to get in these fights, and if Ripper out rotates you, well, I mean, you're just usually not going to win a 3v2. and particularly with just the Ignite, he's picked it into a lot of lanes where I don't think he has any kill potential, particularly say on like that Vladimir or something like that. So just having the teleport, because even if you go behind in the lane, say you accidentally give like an early solo kill, you can do that, but it looks like we might have some kerfuffles in the jungle here with counter jungle coming out early. And the Thresh is roaming up. They are on top of the Hecarim, but the Hecarim does have damage a little bit early, but the taunt goes down, and a Swain W from downtown is onto the Thresh, but they're engaging the AD carry is coming up here before the mid laner is going to reach. They are getting the kill onto Hecarim, is probably going to go down, and that's a huge kill pickup for Micro. There's a lot of stacks on his passive as well to get his form, and that's a big kill being picked up on either side of here. Or not a kill anyway, sorry. No, there was a kill tide. The death timers are just too short, and my brain is too bad.
I mean, first blood goes over to Osborne, but frankly, blue buff, Mohammed was tanking blue buff for a really, really long time there. I think you need to drop the aggro. If you just keep soaking the aggro there, you will go down. And despite sort of prompting the invade and getting first blood as well, Mohammed's actually now behind in experience, and I suspect in terms of gold as well, as Micro looking to pick up the Scuttle, getting collapsed.
Rotating, brought the 4-man Goon Squad. The pick on the Kayn, the Scuttle is taken away, the taunt is down, and oh my god, the flash from the wall from Micro. This guy actually is literally just Houdini, and he gets out. He's got the Thresh to get him out. Does lose the Scuttle, but he was getting
they got baited!
Kill onto the Galio. You hate to see it. Beautifully played on the side of McNally, and they punish them, and there's some trading going on in the mid lane, but oh my gosh, Houdini strikes again, and the horse is coming to the mid lane looking for the kill onto the Rise, but manages to get out, and the Ignite is invested. Maybe you should have ran teleport instead. No, I'm kidding, that's toxic.
Okay, I think the Ignite in this particular lane for the Swain is actually pretty okay. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. It actually gives, like, because with Rise on the amount of sustained damage in the shield he can get, you get the potential for a kill that you usually wouldn't have on Swain, because Swain's burst damage is actually just insane. So yeah, no, the Ignite is a perfectly fine pick. I'm totally just joking about an ongoing thing that's going on. It was just kind of funny in the moment. I didn't read anything by it.
The backpedaling from Johnny.
Hey, gotta cover the bases, man.
Fair enough. But
honestly, like, it was a good play, but mostly I think that just came down to Ripper was sidestepping a lot of the CC and stuff from Super Mario in the mid lane there. But it was a really good response by Hecarim to just ensure that no kill went down and potentially turn it around and actually get the flash out of Ripper, which does give them a lot of actually mid lane prio now, particularly just how good of CC the Swain does have. Oh, he got it! He got it! And I stole the Gromp! Oh no! Oh no! Micro just putting on a class act of this Kayn. Kayn usually a little bit weaker in the early game, but because of these two crucial last 2 or 3 crucial interactions, Micro is miles ahead of Minecraft Mohammed right now, and this is exactly where you want to be as the Kayn.
That's absolutely brutal. Right now, the game's kind of over. You can't really gank your lanes very effectively, which is a huge issue considering that you blew the mid lane flash. You want to revisit that lane. You want to do that, but you now kind of can't. If you walk in there, you have to be very, very careful until we start seeing a couple more items come through. Right now, I think Mohammed just stays in the jungle. So Micro will have control, will have priority. Now, Ocean Drake is up right now. This is probably later, I think, in the game. Usually it's around 5:30. We've seen these teams focus that first Drake. We're now at about 6 minutes. Ocean, if McNally want to go for it, would just completely be able to take it. No contest. Mohammed is so far behind right now. They literally just need to send Micro over.
Yeah, and actually, I think the interesting thing that might come up in some of these fights is is the double Ignite on the side of Osborne, but the main thing with they actually have a lot of early game healing in the Kayn and the even the Gangplank in fights in the Kai'Sa with Lifesteal, and even Rise just from sheer damage. So being able to deny that allows them to not really have to get these Grievous Wounds items very early on, and you might actually be able to turn some fights that usually would be swayed by healing. And with how powerful this Kayn is getting, I think being able to put Grievous Wounds on him in some way, shape, or form is going to be pretty vital to him coming out in fights. But we got a slam in the top lane. Beautiful ult into the GP ult and winning out on this trade. I think the Haymaker is still online for buy, though, so it's about time. Doesn't want to commit to this, but a massive flash in order to turn that tower dive around in his favor.
Yeah, so it's about time does have to be careful. The next time that's up might be a bit of a problem, but and the flash for buy is still up as well, so it's not particularly vulnerable to a gank. Mohammed right now has a choice. Do you want to go mid? You know there's no flash there. Top? That's also an option. No flash there. Your bot right now? Probably not where you're looking, so Oh, the ward actually is going to spawn.
Yeah, they caught the Hecarim up in the top lane too, so this is like, they know Kane's there, but Kane is reacting to this because they have the vision, they know where the enemy jungler is, and this is a free 3v2 in the bot lane. Really good vision around there, and that is just more kills going down onto Micro, and actually and Kaisa getting fed off that as well. So even though the ward was there, they were just too late to react to that, because, you know, Kane can just warp through walls, and it's, yeah, it's fun.
You know what? The taunt on Fake Susie meant that they couldn't control who gets the kill there. Micro getting it. I'm not sure if that's better or worse right now, because, yeah, the Kai'Sa's scary. But right now, at this point in the game, I feel like Micro is way more scary. And Micro is going to be everywhere on the map as well. Mohamed looking to try and find It's About Time up here in the top lane. But with the wave push right now, with the sustain coming up from the Grasp of the Undying, we didn't touch on it, but Hail of Blade set, not really working out too well for Bai right now.
Yeah, I think an interesting thing with the Kane being so fed at this point is because you have a Ryze in the middle, in the mid lane, and a Kaisa Thresh in the bot lane, you can actually very easily pull them if you want to do any plays in the bottom lane. So example, say like the Dragon's up, which they recently just took, or even like if you want to go towards Rift Herald and stuff like that, just the ability to bring in like Ripper, for example, there's just so much potency here, because the minute you just lock down somebody with the root from Ryze, Kane just gets to have a heyday. And like, just look at this warding. They're just not letting Mohamed breathe in this jungle, and they're just continuing to push forward that advantage.
And initially, though, the vision was to track where Mohamed was, because you don't want to meet Mohamed as so you want to go where Mohamed is and take the jungle and all that sort of good stuff. But at this point now, those wards are actively looking for Mohamed, because Micro can 1v1 him. Oh,
figure him out a gank in the bot lane. Oh, nice Thresh. Oh, this is so many interactions with Galio. So good. And the Lantern to get away from the Thresh in a beautiful mechanical outplay side of the McNally bot lane.
Well, Mohamed's tears are definitely still stacking right now.
Oh no. We got some trading up in the top lane. Man, it's just so hard to kill the Gangplank early, even though he doesn't have much priority in this lane. But well, we got the tower dive coming down. The Ripper is getting melted on the side. Gonna have the Lantern, pulls it out. They managed to get him out. Dot has to get out of the swing. Oh, but that hit right on the tip of the Xayah ult. But Low Class does trade his life for that, and that's gonna be even more kills potentially going down onto the Xayah. But he heal coming down. The Hecarim needs to turn back. Oh, the Kaisa rather gets even more kills. A double kill going down. Your Kaisa is 5-0. Your Kane is 2-0, and McNally is off to a dominating start.
I honestly didn't quite see how Ripper got there. I know he TP'd in there, but I don't know how he ended up tanking it. But it worked, right? Like, that wasn't a 1-for-1 trade where you kill Ripper and you lose just one person. You lost multiple members there. Like, McNally's just snowballing this game right now. They are stronger in every lane. So in terms of equal numbers right now, they'll always win. And on top of that, they are the ones that...
Swain's got no mana, and the Realm Warp is coming in. They get the knock up onto the Swain. They're coming in. The Gangplank all comes down to secure the slow. And that will be another kill going down onto the Kane. And he's just snowballing out of control in this matchup. We've got Slam up in the top, punishing onto the Gangplank. But the Gangplank's actually fading trailer, but the Haymaker is online. Dodges his out completely. It's About Time's got the barrels coming down. All the flashes invested from Bai. And that is It's About Me just getting the huge advantage in that fight.
And they can just rinse and repeat that right now. It's About Time only really burnt the cannon.
And the Hecarim can't fight Micro at this point. There is no Kane ult, so he's likely going to be able to escape. But that's a blue buff just probably going to be over Micro. Maybe going to be... No, they got a little bit of a smite fight here. But Micro does have the level advantage. They are bringing down Bai. But Ripper, the endless companion of Micro, is here to ensure the blue buff is secured. And a wonderful rotation here from McNally.
Man, usually the jungle ganks the lanes, John. But in McNally, the lanes gank the jungle.
The lanes gank the jungle. Oh, it's so good on the Lantern. I think this is a problem we covered on just like, it's so hard to play Galio support in the Thresh. He can pull you away from the taunt. He can interrupt your taunt. There's just so many interactions where it's honestly just kind of suffering to try and engage on this Galio. Now, the Galio is going to be very potent in the late game when they can get like the Hecarim engage, maybe a Seth Slam, and you just go straight on top of them to continue the engage. And it's also a lot of peel for the Xayah in the back lane too, and the kind of the back part of the fight as well. But it's just very difficult in this laning phase.
And I'm so glad, John, to see this Kaisa Thresh bot lane finally given to McNally here, because the game won the Jinx, Ice Barriers couldn't take advantage in the
Oh, the big root coming down, but here's the Galliol coming down to get on the engage, and here it is in the lane. The Zyal comes down, huge knockup. They're layering on the CC probably, but a huge flash, but the taunt is still down, likely going to be able to reach the Lantern, and they do manage to escape with that. With their life, the item is just too much in their advantage, not able to secure the kill. And here comes the rotation down, but they're likely just going to turn this into a dragon off of that big trade. The Hecarim is nearby. The jungler is on the way, though, so that will be a free dragon for McNally, and a beautiful escape from the fight on the bot lane there.
And Mohamed just has to limp away. There's just no backup here yet. You don't even have Onslaught of Shadows. That was used aggressively. No flash either. Means no way into the pit. No hope. No chance for a steal. And the point I wanted to make before all that action started. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. And this is just what happens when you get behind a thing. But a nice smite by the Hecarim coming down there. But they are bringing Ripper in to try and secure some stuff. But man, Ken can just come in here. Now, luckily, he can't really seem to kill the Hecarim at this point. But you have so much prio and so much damage. And the Rift Herald's going to be going down here, getting even more gold into the hands of Micro. So they may be looking for a little bit of a turnaround. The big root coming down. Oh, that is the ult. But he is a little bit in no man's zone. But Houdini himself gets out of the fight again. But the root comes down from Swain. They are pulling him in, but doesn't decide to go for any more engage. And our Micro is too good at escaping, but buys for the flank, trying to cut off Micro in the jungle, but he sees here. Oh, Mohamed is low, and he goes and returns the kill. Micro is just playing out of his mind this series.
I can't believe Micro got out. The vision drop as well. Super Mario couldn't pull him back, and Micro not only gets out, but gets Mohamed once again. And I think for Bai right now, you have to be so scared if you're rotating in, because when you go and back up your jungle, there's a chance that maybe your jungle is dead and you're left alone with Micro, who's equal level, up a whole bunch of kills, up in farm as well, would be able to manhandle this set.
Yeah, and I'm really happy McNally got into this, because I like to call it their comfort comp from the few times that we've seen them play, because I think they played like 2 different Kane games that I got the pleasure of watching, and they were... It's just beautiful to see them work around this, because they have such good teamwork, particularly between their mid and their jungle. But speaking of teamwork, we might have a little fight down here. The Rise is present, and it's just enough mana for the stun. And again, gets the hook onto the threat. The Gangplank ult is cutting off their escape, and the Kaisa just does too much damage at this point. Beautiful awareness from the Gangplank to deny that exit from the ball lane of Osborne. That's even more kills going down near Zaya. 7-0. Ice Barriers putting up a show.
I wanted to see the ADC step up. It's not low class who needed to for the team. It's Ice Bears who actually has a ton of damage on the team, but I'm so happy. This is why I was talking about the Thresh being picked up here, and the fact that it's not a Jinx, not somebody who sits back and farms. This is an ADC who can take over a lane, and it's giving Ice Bears the chance to show off right now. And we cannot... We don't mention Victor on Osu's name very much, but I feel like we have to this game, because Victor, on this Thresh, we're seeing why it was like permaban throughout the series. It's so clean. The death sentences and the dark passages have been so on point to get Ice Barrier in and out of these fights.
Yeah, I think we've just seen so many beautiful synergy, but it looks like we do have a gank in the bottom lane with the Thresh away, and they push him away, but the Galliol's coming down. Now he is 7-0. The teleport is invested from the Rise. They're coming down, but the flank's coming down, but he's stuck for so long and just outplays around the thing. Ice Barrier playing out of his mind. McNally has come to play. They want that title. Bai is here, knocks him into the team. Probably going to get the kill on Ice Barrier. No, he got the haymaker, and that's the kill going down, rooted under the tower, and Low Class is picked up on the back half of that fight, and McNally putting on a master class of map awareness and rotations.
This is an absolute massacre, John. This is brutal to watch. 15-2 and McNally masterclass as a solid description of this right now, because they're just taking off.
The gang coming out of the mid lane here. So I think he might have used the E to clear off the way. The W is coming down. He does have ult to invest in here, and I don't think the ult's going to keep you alive, but the rest of the team here, the Goon Squad itself, the 4-man core of McNally is so potent. And that's what I'm talking about. They're very good around playing around this four-man core, and you're just seeing it in just beautiful fashion. What's about time? Staying alive in the top lane, getting a CS advantage, and just being aware with the Gangplank ult whenever he needed. He's turned fights almost single-handedly by himself, just with strictly awareness off of that ult. And just the jungle just does not belong to you anymore. But they're looking to maybe get here, but the Lantern's coming down. Maybe not going to even go for it. Maybe I think he wants to steal the... And he got it! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Micro? Be nice! And they're just going to pick up the lockdown onto here. The Thresh is here to disengage. engage. Micro has the ult to stay alive, and Victor is just saving the jungler. You can't get on top of him, and Victor's so good on the peel, but the rest of the team is here, and I don't think you're going to win this fight. Osborne, big hook coming down from Victor on Osu onto the Galio, and the ult does come down, and a huge Blade Surge cutting through the ranks of McNally. Big shutdowns going on to the AD carry of Osborne, and that actually does turn the play in the favor of Osborne. They're simply off shutdown gold.
That was actually a pretty big fight. Yes, it's a 2-for-2. That doesn't sound impressive, but for Osborne, who was down, is still down more than 10,000 gold before 20 minutes here. This is the largest lead I think we've seen since the playoffs have started at this point in time. And Osborne, low class, still able to find the damage here. They're not out of it yet. It feels like they are, but really, we're only 17 minutes into the game. 2 dragons down, and only the outer ring of turrets did as well. So Osborne, if they can look for some more of these fights in these really tight choke points, low class can absolutely shred through these squishy targets.
Yeah, so Bai might be able to trade up a turret here, but I think it is worth rotating down the top lane to just ensure that this dragon is taken down, because then they can just rotate into another lane and win the 5v4. And they're just keeping down on the Gallery. There's so much damage coming over the wall. The Kaisa goes over and confirms the kill. Just so much maneuverability on this comp. I really enjoy this comp from McNally. It's so versatile, and it's just so much priority, or precedence, I think it's called, as the LLEC casters like to call it, just around the map.
Yeah. Priority precedence. I mean, just the ability to move first and make sure that you're okay doing that, you're safe doing that for the side of Osborne right now. Small goals. At this point, when you're down this much here, the mental must be weighing on them. They don't know the gold lead, which sometimes makes things worse. All they know is they've not secured any objectives. They are down about 15 kills right now, and they know that their CS numbers aren't exactly. So, first goal, find a pick. Just find a single target. Stop throwing yourself into the middle of 5. You're not going to win a 5v5. Try and find the isolated target. And then, to get that to happen, I think they need low class with the team here. Low class split pushing on the side will soak up farm, but your team is not going to win any fights without you.
Yeah, I think they just kind of lack side pressure on the side of Osborne at the moment, just with the TP being down on Bai, and obviously no TP right in the mid lane, doesn't give them rotation, but Mario is staying with the team to allow them that. But oh, big hook over the wall, and we're going to see him engage onto that, and that is a dead Swain in the mid lane. Beautiful hook coming out from Victor. Victor is, I mean, okay, the entire team's smurfing this game, I gotta be honest.
Yeah. Oh, Shelly's not even going to get an auto off on the
Doesn't even need to. It's potentially inhib time if they push the issue on here, because they definitely win this fight. They're looking for the gauge onto low class. Kaisa just putting out so much damage. Everbrock does whip on the back line. Oh my god! Max Lane coming down for Victor. The Galio's coming down, but it's a little too late, and that's just going to feed another kill. Micro going on to the Hecarim. They're lowering down. The set is in the back lane, just tanking so many turrets, but has the ult to get out. Victor drilling back, pulls the 80s. The jungler back, and just so much damage. I think he's going to tank too many turrets. The heal is not going to be enough. That is Micro going down, but they still have the Herald. They still have the teleport, and they're coming down there looking to end this game, secure their way to victory. He just got so much damage down, but he gets melted, and that's a big shutdown for him, though. But I think it's a little too late. They do have the gangplank, but they don't have wave precedent, and the Hecarim is coming up in 5 seconds, so we won't quite see the game. But McNally with the absolute massive power play. Oh man, over 10k gold up at this point.
Sean, just got to point out, the only kill at the end there, Ice Barrier's kill, came off the Ignite for Super Mario.
You know what? I can't argue that. I can't argue that. It worked. Honestly, I think it is actually, like, as much as I'm like rapping on it, like, it is good into their comp because of just how much healing they have. Now, you're not really noticing it because they are so far ahead. And, you know, I kept talking about slapping with your wallets. Well, this is like, you've gotten like 6 wallets and you're just like, you got a little chain, you're with the wallets. So they're just so strong at this point that even though they are able to anti-heal and stuff like that, the damage is too high, so just the multipliers just go completely in your favor, and you just see that by how much Kayn is healing in these fights.
We get a little taste of the vision right now. There is none for Osborne. Like, they just simply do not have vision. The only lonely ward on the map that we can see right here is behind their champion line right now. Their champions are further up. Baron has been started, already halfway down, and Osborne don't have a clue.
Yeah, it's just so much damage. They instantly melt this Baron. And there's another Drake coming up in 145, but honestly, I feel like they can just pick a lane and push the issue, likely to focus on mid lane because they got to be inhib down. And just honestly, all they need to do is force a team fight out of Osborne here. They're so far ahead, and I really don't think Osborne has a chance of coming back in this fight. And it looks like we are setting up for the end of the game. Super Mario on his way. Maybe a little bit late to the fight if they want to press the issue. The Gangplank is lagging a little bit behind too, but does have the ultimate, so likely won't matter that much. And I think we are looking at the potentially final fight of the tournament. But Whip's on the hook, but it gets the roots down onto the set, and the set is melting. Haymaker comes down, but a little too late, and the Gangplank ult is cutting off the back line. And they're getting on top of that. Oh my god, the knockup from the Kane! And that's the horse going down. The Crow is next, and they roll more minions into it to tank so they can get those KDs, and Victor gets them down. And that is McNally taking the third inaugural EPS Spring League of Legends tournament in an absolute dominating fashion. GG.
What utter John McNally just decided that, you know what, we're done. We gave you guys, you know, the full series. We lost the game to make sure we get to game 3. We're ending this now. More realistically, though, more likely they were a bit cold from basically not playing today, because they did qualify yesterday, but they looked amazing here. And I feel like their performance kind of makes Osborne look worse than Osborne actually was, because Osborne, we have to remember right now, absolutely dominated in the semifinals, even in game 1 as well. And it's just, McNally was so good that they put a whole different meaning to Bai's name. It's no longer Bai, I love you because you're amazing. It's Bai, I love you. That was my death letter right before I died.
Oh no. But yeah, and Osborne, because Osborne 1 pretty much came off the back of just like mostly stomping their lanes, massively punishing mistakes in games to get to the final. So yes, this was kind of a one-sided beatdown in the last game, but Osborne like pretty much dominated their entire way up until this point. Like they were a dominating fashion. Honestly, I think they were kind of favored coming into this match is based on their previous match performances, but McNally just showing up in stunning fashion. In the FGC, we like to call that first loss an information round. Lured them around in the next 2 rounds, they kind of just ran it all the way back.
Pretty much. You know what? I think that's a very, very fitting term. And Edmonton right now, these are high school kids, right? Like,
yeah, it's nuts.
This is a big generation, honestly, of the esports athletes coming out here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of these guys, you know, later in a couple of years here playing in the amateur circuit, which is where I cast a lot as well. You know, really, really solid play. And props to McNally as well for the infrastructure. I don't know if they had a coach or whether the players just, you know, sort of work things out themselves, but their macro was really clean. And a team with a rise with a Gangplank, that's when it really, really shows whether or not you can coordinate these cross map plays. They certainly did here. Props to all of these teams. What a great tournament to watch and cast here.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, I kind of got expecting in there. I wasn't exactly sure what skill level to expect, but they just, as you said, the level of macro, because teams like Ainley just knew how to take neutral objectives like it was nothing. Zerd actually did a good demonstration of that as well. We had the split push. We've seen actually a lot from McNally, was very good at using the 1-3-1. Osborne just showed how to like get a lot of like lane dominance, but also how to play around power picks and even take some late scaling champions, play them correct way, and just snowball the game. So we actually saw like a ridiculous like diversity of different play styles, different champions coming out. It was honestly just a great tournament. That a lot of these teams, I don't even know if they've been playing together that long. Just imagine if we give them like a league in a year. These kids are cracked. Like, I mean, they're already stupid good. Just give them a year of training and competitive play, man. They're going to be getting into the LCS. You want something a bit better than that. We're going straight to LCK, boys. These kids are hella good.
We need to make a Canadian league, I think.
I think a Canadian league would be good. Gotta one-up LCS. It's like, oh, look what you got here. But yeah, no, it's good to hear. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the show. It's been a fantastic 2 weekends to 4 total days. We had some fantastic student volunteers helping run this. A big shout out to all those. We'll be talking about those in closing ceremonies, but I would like to just personally thank you, Random, for being here today and making me look way smarter than I should be. Ash for just running the stream, moderating chat, and just being an overall swell guy. And Rob, sorry. You smurfed. I messed up your name, so it sounds like super mean now, but your observing was absolutely fantastic. I hope everybody enjoyed just moving around, showing the vision often. It just made the show so much better. And thank you all for tuning in today. We'll be going off to closing ceremonies. Would you like to say anything before we go?
Just thanks for the opportunity. The viewers, the players, the organizers, everything ran so well. And a special shout out from me to Rob as well, because Rob helped provide a lot of the information. I only came in for this last day, and Rob helped fill me in. Swanner doing an absolutely great job before this.
Fantastic.
Special shout outs to both of them.
Yeah, well, I think we'll just push it off into that. We'll give a final little shout out to our sponsors for the event. Obviously, it was sponsored by Herbaland and Sport Factor and presented by the Gaming Stadium. And of course, thank you all for watching, and we'll move it on to closing ceremonies. with Victor and Corbett, and that will come very soon. Thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful night.